Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to Heiko Shaves. So it is morning here, at least while I'm filming this video. Have my Winnie the Pooh coffee cup in my hand, still drinking coffee. So yeah, morning shave. I need to shave, as you guys can see, and I wanted to do a comparison between one of my favorite vintage adjustable razors, which is the Gillette FatBoy. The Gillette FatBoy has had popularity for a long time. So mine here is a 1959, an E3, so third quarter of 1959. Gillette did a really good job of date coding their razors, at least for the most part. There are some models where it was too early, they didn't do that yet, or they had some prototyping going on where you get some adjustable razors, like in the very early adjustable range, like the toggles and the bottom adjusts and whatnot, where you had some models that don't have a date code on it, so they are like the holy grail of collectors. This one here is just a run of the mill FatBoy, which is kind of its nickname, right? So if you go to GilletteAdjustables.com, you can look at all the different razors that they had. So the toggles, and then they had the bottom dials, and they were different models. And then they had the Slim Executive FatBoy, not that Slim, the FatBoy Executive FatBoy, the FatBoy Standard, and then the Red Dot FatBoy, which are different models. And then, you know, they moved on to other models. But on that webpage, you can see pictures of all the Gillette adjustables that there were ever on the market. And they also have a date code, a table where you can look up what year your Gillette adjustable razor was made. I just want to show you, I have a little bit of a collection. So I have a FatBoy. Then in I want to say 59, or let's go back to the date code so I'm not completely telling you nonsense here. So the FatBoy, if I'm not completely mistaken, they were made between 58 and 61. And in 61, correction, in 1960, they switched to the Slim, which is design-wise fairly similar. The handle is a little thinner and a little longer. Overall, the concept is the same. There are different blade gaps and geometry things involved here in the head design, but they are fairly similar. I don't know why they went from the thicker, more grippy handle to the skinnier one, but I guess that was just the trend of the year. Then after that, they started doing this is also an adjustable, the super adjustable 84. Look at how worn this all is. I'm assuming because they used aluminum parts, I guess they were cheaper than brass. This must have gotten stuck at some point and someone put some pliers on there, loosen it up. This one needs some restoration. And then we have the super adjustable 109, which is just a longer handle. So Gillette for the longest time was really the leader in when it came to adjustable razors. I mean, they started fairly early. Like I said, they started in 1955, if I'm not completely mistaken. Right around that same time, Merkur came out with the Progress, which we also have here a representation. This is a modern production, of course, nothing vintage about this. But Gillette, I mean, they were the favorite. The FatBoy here is really a favorite among shavers today. People that collect those, they all like to shave with a FatBoy. But unfortunately, Gillette went other ways and they completely stopped making DE razors and then went into the cartridge razor market and completely forgot about this market here. And so unfortunately, the FatBoy, the Slim, the super adjustable, they are all long out of production and pretty much, you know, left to rot. Luckily, there are places like Razor Emporium where you can take your grandfather's FatBoy or your Slim or your whatever Gillette vintage razor or any other brand and send it in, and they're going to tune it up. So if maybe there's something bent, they're going to straighten it out, and they can completely take the old plating off. All of those razors here, you can see it has a little bit of a yellowish tint to this silver plating. That's always a good indication that this is nickel plated. So nickel isn't quite as bright as Chrome is the name. Chrome, the really shiny stuff. So if you have a cheaper Chinese made razor, or here is a good example of Chrome. is the Merkur Futur that I have. Really shiny, very bright, very silvery, and nickel is just a little bit more yellowish. They also had executive models of those that usually then were gold plated or gold colored. And you can send those in and get them all redone at places like Razor Emporium. And there are others that can replate those razors. They take them all apart. They get the plating gets completely taken off. Then they get polished so that the surface is smooth and shiny and great. And then they completely get replated. Of course, it costs some money, but then you're going to have your grandfather's old vintage Gillette razor or gem razor or chic razor or whatever it was, and then you get it completely restored back to its old glory. And at the same time, they make sure everything lines up and is straight, and so they can fix that kind of stuff. All my razors are in their original shape. So you can see there's some plating loss and some discolorations, and someone used some pliers on this puppy here, which this one definitely needs to go back to Razor Emporium for a tune-up. And maybe they can fix this discoloration. And then this puppy here is even bent. And I've been talking about this for like 2 years that I want to send them in. It's going to happen one of these days. But yeah, today I want to do a comparison between this one and its clone or its copy or its modern reproduction by the Global Shave Club, globalshave.club. When you go to globalshave.club, oh, I just noticed a misalignment here. Don't like that. So there's always a risk when you buy something used off of eBay. Maybe someone accidentally dropped it in the bathroom and then it doesn't line up anymore, and then they sell it off for $50. So globalshave.club, if you go to their webpage, and I will put the webpage here on the screen for you guys to see, on their homepage here, let's just look at the desktop version. At the very top, it says Swiss Shave. I don't know, globalshaveclub.com. That webpage has been around for a long while, and they have been in the safety razor market for a while. What I can surmise or gather from the webpage is that they are based in Canada, in Montreal is their headquarters. I'm assuming that most of the razors that they actually bring to market themselves, they sell other stuff, they sell Parker razors and whatnot, but the ones that they bring to the market are mostly reproductions. So they have the FatGuy, this one here, the one that I will be showing you here in a second. The FatGuy, they have an interpretation or a replica of the speed adjustable, which I will show you one here real quick. They have a toggle, or at least they used to have a toggle, it's out of stock. And then they have the red tip, which is a super speed Gillette razor. So they have a few vintage Gillette razors that they have reproduced with probably modern materials, and most of them are chrome plated and kind of a gold plating that looks more modern. It doesn't look like nickel plating, it looks more like chrome plating. Anyways, so globalshave.club, Swiss Shave. I don't know what they have to do with Swiss, really. Swiss is Switzerland, right? They're based in Montreal, Canada. And they are the ones that are reproducing the FatBoy. Here's the FatBoy, and then here's the FatGuy. Appearance is fairly similar, of course, not the same. I don't think they're using exactly the same materials. Some of the dimensions are different. Here you can see, let's dial this to setting 1. And here, this one is already at setting 1. You can see this little ring here that's completely void or missing here on the FatGuy. But overall, dimensionally and design-wise, they are fairly similar. Let's weigh them real quick. So the FatBoy original Gillette with no blade is 80 grams. And the FatGuy is 65 grams. So something is a little thinner, something is a little lighter. This is nickel plated, this is chrome plated. As you can see here, the doors are more rounded over on this side. These here are a little bit more square. But then the rest, the design language, even the adjuster, here you can see the little spring up there. That makes it a clicky adjuster. You always have to open them up slightly to be able to do the adjustment. That's the same with the vintage one. So from 1 to 9, same clicky mechanism or similar than the original here. So this is open a little bit. My original is a little more gritty, I guess. But yeah, overall, kind of same concept, same dimensions, lengthwise they're the same. Diameter-wise, maybe the original is a little thicker. The knurling looks different, as you guys can see. There is a little line here that doesn't have knurling. Here it's knurled all the way. But overall, they have brought a razor back to the market that is just not available new anymore. I mean, some people still have an original packed FatBoy sitting in the drawer, and when they come to the market, they are like hundreds of dollars. This one here, I want to say was like in the $60, $70 range, and I get a pretty good example. So very little plating loss, all very original. There's nothing rubbed off. I guess it wasn't really used all that much. So I'm pretty lucky that I got this one. This is not one of the rarer models. This is towards the end of the FatBoy reign, and then they switched over to the Slim, as I already mentioned, right? So here's the Slim. I don't even know what year this is here. This is a K. So K must be relatively late then in the game. Let's go K65. So there are 6 years between those two. As I just mentioned, the Global Shave Club, they have a few other models. So if you want a super speed, this one here with a red tip, you can buy it vintage like I did, and this looks vintage, it looks used, or you can get a reproduction. And then they also have a super speed, the earlier ones here with a skinny handle. I don't think they have the one with a plastic tip here at the bottom. And you can find those also as a reproduction. Yeah, and they also have the Gillette Tech. This is a Gillette Tech. There were different variations and even made in England, in the United States, and all over the place. So if you want something like this, but you don't want to buy someone's old razor, you can go onto globalshave.com, and I will put a link down below and check them out. Like I said, they're all reproduction. I would say they're probably all made overseas with cheaper materials, and then they get chrome plated, which is more slick. And I'm a big fan of the vintage looking nickel plating. So if you have maybe a cruddy looking vintage one, you can make it look nice by sending it into one of those restoration places like Razor Emporium. Link down below, okay? All right, so let's not talk about any other razor anymore. We're gonna use the FatBoy and the FatGuy. I have two blades already sitting here, so let's load the FatBoy with a Wilkinson sword blade. That's one of my go-to blades. Tighten that down, so we're gonna set it to, let's set it to 4. Let's set it to 4, tighten up. So you close it, and then you have a little bit more turning to do. That's kind of tensioning the blade into its curved position. Alignment is perfect, blade tabs are sticking out. Now we're gonna take the FatGuy, our reproduction from eBay, and we're gonna put same blade in here. Before we tighten up, let's put it to 4 as well. And then we feel that we have reached the blade, and then we have to turn a little more. So that curves the blade. Now I'm gonna look at the alignment. Not perfect. So this side looks good, right? The other side has a little bit of a slope to it. And I don't know if this is maybe quality production issue, or if this was maybe dropped. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I'm just gonna use it as it is. So we have both razors loaded. Water is in my sink. Just get my skin moist. Some people use those misters. I think it's fine if you just reach into water and do it that way. So I don't need another piece of equipment sitting here. So I'm not gonna start doing the misting spraying, but everyone has their own style, right? So we're using a Purasso green pre-shave, the mentholated type. Love it. Very good, especially in the summer. It gives you this cooling effect. So we let that soak a little bit. And what else are we gonna use? I told you guys that I just bought a new load of Purasso goodness, Purasso green soap. I have a Simpson M7, which is one of my favorite brushes. It has a synthetic knot with a sovereign fiber. The sovereign fiber, relatively short-loved knot. Love it. And I already got it wet, right? Here we go. You don't need to pre-soak. I just squeeze it out mostly. And then I go right into my Purasso green container here. I was asking you guys if this is considered a cup or a bowl, but it's actually a mug. All right. And we're just loading up the brush. I get a little bit more water. We're just loading this up, and then we're gonna more or less do a face lather. We just need to pick up some soap here. Probably way too much. Perfect. All right, put that out of the way. Dip it in water. Look at that. And then we're gonna lather up here right in my face. Ah, yeah. Very nice, very nice. I really like the scent of Proraso. Proraso green specifically. I like the Proraso red as well, which is sandalwood, but I only have a cream in the tube at the moment. I might want to try that out as a soap as well. It's just my go-to. Proraso products work for me. My skin is happy with those. Let's get a little bit more water on that. So in good old-fashioned method of comparing, we're going to put the FatBoy on one side, the FatGuy on the other side. Let's do FatGuy on the right and the FatBoy on the left. Get them wet, and we're going to go with the grain. Setting number 4. Yeah, it shaves. Very good. Feels a little tinny. As we already established, it's a little lighter than the original. There is a little bit of some looseness here when I shake it. The knob, even though it's tightened down all the way, it feels loose. I can't tighten anymore, but there's some wiggle in there. But it shaves. It shaves. The Wilkinson sword blades never disappoint. I told you guys before, as you can see, there's some flakes flying away. Proraso tends to dry off really fast. Must be one of their ingredients that just makes this dry up really fast. As you can hear, it sounds a little on the tinny side. I have, again, about 3 days of stubbles in my face. I'm going to give the other side a little rehydration. I just dipped in water. I just don't want so much stuff flying around here and drying off before I even get to it. Kind of like that. So overall, it did a pretty good job. Took 3 days of growth off with no problem. Of course, a big part is the blade. Like I said, the knob feels a little loose. The FatBoy, believe it or not, it's not quite as loose, but it also has some looseness. So it seems to be running in the family. We're also at setting 4. This one feels much milder. Yeah, this is much milder. Are we really at 4? Yes. So the original has less blade feel, at least from my observation here. Maybe every FatBoy, I mean, they are stamped brass sheet metal. Most of the head parts are stamped. And so there might be slight variations that maybe your FatBoy is a little bit more aggressive, or the geometry is just ever so slightly different. So in the stamping process, when you stamp like a curved part out of flat brass, you use what's called a die. So they have a bottom part and a top part, a die, and they put a piece of brass sheet metal in between and stamp it with high pressure. And those dies wear. And so when you start production, let's say in 1955, and then you run production for, 5 years with the same dies, they wear, and then the shape of the parts will eventually change ever so slightly. So yeah, if you don't catch that in quality control, then you will have a little bit more variation of the product. That one in 1955 has a different geometry than one in 1960. Of course, that's still the case if there's any kind of sheet metal stamping going on here in this new production one. But you know what? Here, let me just open this real quick. I want to say that the doors here, they look cast. They don't look stamped. Oh, see that? So blade is in there like you would put it. Oh, it came up a little bit. Okay, that was my mistake. The doors here look stamped. These look stamped. These are cast, I'm pretty sure. The rest here could be, yeah, good question, good question. I would have to take this really apart to see. The original is all stamped sheet metal pieces. This could potentially contain some cast parts. At least the doors are. Yeah, so they feel different. So we're at setting 4 on both, and this one has a little bit more blade feel than this one. This is much milder. So I'm gonna loosen them up, and let's go up to 9. How about that? So this is maximum on the FatBoy. And let's loosen this up and go to, hello, can we go to 9? Yeah, we can. The chrome is a little slicker. It's a little harder to turn, especially with wet fingers. So this is maximum on the FatGuy. Like I said, they're similar, but of course they were not produced on the same machine with the same process. All right, let's wipe this down. Overall, first pass result is very good, very acceptable. We have white stuff everywhere now. I look like I have dandruff. All right, let's lather up one more time. Again, I'm adding some water to the tips of my brush here. A little bit more water. To keep the flakes from flying, the Paraso flakes. All right, looks good, feels good. There you go. All right, let's do setting 9, highest setting on this puppy here, the FatGuy. Knob again, wiggly. Don't like it, but it's no problem. Functionally, it's no problem. Cross the grain, feels good. Once most of the stubbles are out of the way. Razors always feel a little bit milder. Gotta keep the pressure down. Respect the sharp implement that you have in your face. Very good. Very good. So even on setting 9, this is not too overly aggressive. Yeah, you can clearly see blade is sticking right out there, and really decent large blade gap. Clogging up isn't really an issue. So now we're gonna grab the FatBoy, the grandfather here, setting 9 as well, and we're gonna go yeah, feels a little milder even at setting 9. So geometry is definitely not identical. But for a reproduction of something, they have tried to get as close as they can. It's doing a pretty decent job, the FatGuy I'm talking about. The FatBoy is, of course, the original. So this should be the standard. And I feel like this is a little bit more rounded off, you know, the rounded edges. The blade feel is a little less. It's a little milder. It's a little bit more comfortable. This is a little bit more scrapey. And that might be, you know, maybe this is all in my head, but maybe the razor is a little wider here, the FatBoy. And therefore, we have a little bit less positive blade exposure. So these are protruding a little further out, and therefore protecting the blade edge a little bit more. So this is more a neutral blade exposure, where this one here looks a little narrower and the blade edges are sticking out a little further. So this is more positive blade exposure, where this is relatively neutral, and therefore it feels a little milder. But overall, I would say they're doing both an admirable job. And really, if you want a FatBoy, but you don't want someone else's grungy razor, and you don't want to buy a $60, $70, 50-year-old razor and then have to restore it, you could buy the FatGuy from globalshave.com or Swiss Shave. But be warned, they are not necessarily inexpensive. So this most likely Chinese-made reproduction of a FatBoy is about $120 razor. I wonder if you could potentially buy an ugly FatBoy that's completely worn off for 50 bucks and then send it to a razor emporium and get it replated. I don't know exactly what they will charge for that. It's probably not cheap. I mean, there is a lot of steps involved. They have to disassemble. They have to take the old plating off in a electrolysis process. And then they have to polish the whole thing by hand, and then they have to make sure it all aligns, and then they have to plate the whole thing in multi-step. I think they first copper plated and then nickel plated. Razor Emporium has a pretty good video on their plating process. It might be a little bit more expensive than $120, but then you would have the original, you know, vintage FatBoy, which was tuned up and replated, rather than have a $120 Chinese-made adjustable. Then now let's talk about the elephant in the room. We just recently did a adjustable razor shave made in China, a clone of the Merkur Progress, and that, now I'm going to take it out. I'm going to show you guys. This Merkur Progress razor, it wasn't perfect, and it definitely will not replace my original, but it was like $6. So this is a Chinese-made adjustable razor for $6. This one here is a Chinese-made copy of a vintage razor that's $120. So just keep that in mind. And then here's another example. Where is it? Where's my potato peeler? If I could find it. Here's my Chinese clone of a Merkur Futur, which the shiny one is the real McCoy. Yeah, this is the real thing, and this is a copy. And I have done a shave comparing those two to each other, and they're really similar. And this one is like $6, $7, $8, $9, maybe $10. And so now we're getting to the point where you get a original for original money, and then you get a clone for $6 or $10. Whereas here in our shave today, you can get a $60, $70, $80, maybe a nice example like mine here, or a $120 Chinese copy of it. I don't know if the value proposition is there. You know, if you still can find a nice one, or maybe Razor Emporium has a sale on some of their revamped ones. I think that's what they call it, revamping one, making them look brand new. Maybe you can get it for $100, $120. So you could potentially own a real Gillette FatBoy for the price of this Chinese copy. I don't know if the value is there. It does fine, but it's overseas produced, cheap, lightweight, 65 grams. And, you know, other clones and copies of other adjustable razors are $6. So I don't want to talk you guys out of it. If you feel like you don't want to own someone old 70-year-old razor and you always think of, oh, they scraped that down their, other body parts, and you don't want that, that's fine. I just don't know, $120, that seems an awful lot for a cloned, copied razor. For $120, you can get, again, Chinese made, but you can get fully adjustable stainless steel razors, modern production. For $120, you can get all kinds of razors. For $120, you can have all kinds of aluminum, stainless steel razors from all kinds of other brands. I don't know what the Rex Sentry currently goes for, but probably under $200. And so I don't know. That's up to you guys. Yeah, let's finish up the shave. I'm rambling now, but you guys get the idea. $120 for something that is a Chinese copy of the FatBoy. I just don't know if the value is really there. If this could cost $50, we have talked about the origin of all those adjustable razors and who started it first. And one of the vintage razors that comes up in discussions occasionally is a Gibbs razor. It was a French razor. It wasn't using the normal standard DE blades. That's why if you have a vintage Gibbs razor, there are unfortunately no Gibbs blades available anymore. You have to modify normal DE blades to make it fit the Gibbs razor. But there is a copy or reproduction of the Gibbs razor available, which is much more reasonably priced. It's like in the $50, $60 range. And I'm going to try to get my hands on one of those, for you guys. So you guys don't have to buy it. I'll buy it, try it out, and then talk about it. And then you guys don't have to buy it. So that's why I got this on my hands here, that I can tell you whether or not it's really worth it. And in my opinion, maybe it's a little too expensive. If this would be $50, so I'm going back to 5. I don't want to cut myself here. I'm going against the grain with a FatGuy, setting 5. There's always something left, right? But we already had a pretty good result after 2 passes. So I haven't really felt any major difference between left or right. One side doesn't look quite as aligned. This is not a globalshave.com or Global Shave Club fault, the misalignment, because I bought a used razor. So this could have been in shipping, or the previous owner dropped it in the sink. Yeah, we're really good here on this side. This clearly has a little bit more positive blade exposure than the real McCoy over here. So we're going to 5 as well. Number 5. Tighten this up all the way to the stop. And we're going to go against the grain. It's a little milder. It's a little bit more gentle. So result is equal. Very good, very good, very good. So I guess I've said everything there was to say about the comparison between a Chinese or overseas, maybe India. I don't know where they make their razors. But I think I've told you everything that I think about this. I just noticed that I completely forgot to shorten my sideburns. They look a little raggedy edge here. All right, that looks better. Alrighty guys, I'm gonna rinse off here real quick. Very good, very good. Proraso keeps my skin happy. I always have a couple blotchy spots, you know. Just disregard that. My skin is really happy. And then we're going to grab the big one here. 400 milliliters of Proraso Green aftershave. And we're gonna get a good puddle here in my hand. Like a little bit of tingling, usually around my jawline. My jawline is always the most difficult section to get clean. I'm guessing because of, you know, just curving around it and going along it, you know. Very nice. And then I completed the Proraso Green Quartet, the pre-shave soap, aftershave, and the aftershave balm. Brand new bottle. I love this stuff. It just is skincare with the same scent as the rest of the gang here. So this finishes it off really nicely. Calms the skin. Doesn't burn. Doesn't have any burning sensation or causes any burning sensation. Is a little bit more creamy, you know. Very nice. Love this stuff. I love this stuff. I love this stuff. But I probably have mentioned this before. Once or twice. Anyway, so yeah, comparison shave between the real deal and the clone or copy replica. So I can get behind this because they have brought a long lost child back to the safety razor market. The FatBoy has been out of production for a long, long time. And now this is available again. You can buy a brand new one. It's similar, not the same, similarly looking, but made differently. I'm pretty sure this is cast here at the top. There might be some other cast parts in here that were stamped on the original. It's fairly similar. It shaves fairly similarly. And I have no problem with this because they are bringing back a razor that is out of production. We just talked about the Gibbs razor. Gibbs razor is long gone, and now there is a replica or clone available, which is, you know, available today. So if you want a Gibbs lookalike, you can buy one. When it comes to a razor, the original Mercure Progress is still in production, and then someone comes along and completely copies this thing, lookalike and all. We're not talking about the Yachi Avanti, which is heavily inspired, but it definitely looks different. It's different material, different knobs and all that. Fairly similar in design, but it is somewhat different, and it's stainless steel. But when someone really just outright copies the overall design, even with a plastic knob at the bottom, then, you know, that's just not, that doesn't feel right. I don't know if there's a law against that. There probably is, but that doesn't feel right. Here in this case, it's not that way because the FatBoy gone. This one is available now, but I just don't know if the price is justifiable. This is, after all, a relatively cheaply made copy of this. So you make the decision. You figure out what you want. I would probably go with a vintage and then maybe have it redone by Razor Emporium. They also buy used ones themselves and revamp them and put them on their webpage. So I'm going to put a link down to Razor Emporium, and then you can check out what they have in stock. Maybe they already have a FatBoy that you like and it's in your price range, and then you can buy a revamped one rather than a copy. Okay. So, but yeah, don't get me wrong. This is a decent razor. It's shaved fine. It's just pretty pricey for what it is. Alrighty, guys, that was it for today. Proraso goodness on my skin. I smell like oh, it's so lovely. This rinfrescante e tonificante. So refreshing and toning of the skin. So I'm tightened up. As you can see, wrinkles are all gone, and I feel really fresh and clean. It's very great, and I hope you guys enjoyed the rambly shave, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.